Welcome. This is MoneyHeart, where we explore the emotional side of money. I'm Camille Diaz, and today we're discussing fear of the unknown. My guest is Michael Hyland, Doctor of Physical Therapy. He owns Hyland Physical Therapy and Wellness, a private practice in Broken Arrow. He specializes in helping those who are age 65 and older, particularly those with Parkinson's. He's also the founder of the Facebook group Parkinson's Warriors International. Michael, welcome to MoneyHeart.
Thank you, Camille, for having me on today.
Yeah, glad to have you. You're very welcome. One thing that I just want to commend you for as we get started is when we had our initial call to kind of talk about what show concept we may want to do or what topic we may want to discuss, you straight out of the gate were like, oh, dude, we got to talk about fear. It's a big thing. And I think that was awesome because a lot of people kind of dance around the topic and kind of worried, nervous sort of thing, but they don't say straight up, it's fear. I'm afraid of stuff. I just thought that was really cool. So thank you for bringing that up and for making that our topic for the day. I'm really excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what you were talking about when you said that was kind of the concept of not knowing what's coming next, what's happening day to day. Is there going to be relief? Are clients going to pay? Is there going to be money tomorrow? That kind of thing. What's been your recent experience?
So I think I know my recent experience has been shared by a lot of other people this year. My experience with fear has been related to COVID-19 and some of the fallout from that. One of the parts of my business, in addition to private practice of seeing people one-on-one as a PT, is I contract with a local home health agency to provide therapy services, so PT, OT, and speech. I've got contractors that work for me that see those patients for the home health company. And anyway, point being on that is that one of the biggest issues that came up in business for me this year was related to fear out of COVID or due to COVID-19, because especially in March and April, people were terrified. People did not know what to expect. They didn't know what to think. They didn't want you breathing anywhere near in their house. So right. We had a big problem in business this year for about 2 months, starting in March, where direct patient care for the private practice almost came to a standstill because people did not want to come to an office. They didn't want to have you in their house. We had 3 clients in the home health agency completely decline everything. They said, no, we just don't want you back.
Wow.
And they never came back. So, and it wasn't because they didn't want help. They really just were so afraid of the virus that they did not want any risk whatsoever. And frankly, some of these people were more vulnerable and higher risk compared to others in the population. So there was a valid fear there, but at the same time, it was also fear of what we didn't know, because there was so much evolving in the science, in the screening processes, in the symptoms of the disease, or the virus rather, and how it spreads and things like that. So that was a big issue for my business this year, because March and April into May were probably the worst months in business I've had in probably at least a year and a half, if not longer.
Wow.
Definitely in a year, for sure, that was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely impacted us as a family as well, financially.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was just wondering is, how did that affect your family and your life in general? When you have clients just evaporating, essentially, they're just disappeared.
So it went to, for us, it went to the point of having a salary through my practice, through my business, to not being able to pay myself for 6 months.
Wow.
because just that 2 months of downturn, 2.5 months of downturn was enough to financially put us in the hole. It took that long to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Catch
Yeah.
back to the point where, okay, there's enough now that we can go back to to actually benefiting from this business financially. Uh,
Right.
if there's no point to it if we're not supporting our family with it. So
Then
that
it's
was
just a hobby.
that is a hobby that, yeah, it's actually a really expensive hobby.
Right.
Uh,
So do you have physical space where people come to your office? So I'm guessing your rent didn't change and your, electric bill didn't change and
all the bills were there.
Mhm.
I've heard stories about, you know, um, landlords, forgiving rent and or doing significant discounts during that time. My landlord was not one of them. So,
Mhm.
and I don't know what would happen if I would have asked, but I guess maybe I have too much pride for that. But I felt like um, that, yeah, there was just the only thing that really was the saving grace, I would say, was um, Centers for Medicaid and Medicare and Medicaid Services did have stimulus checks for those that are providers, Medicare providers. So I did get a check from them because of billing that I did in 2019.
Mhm.
That was helpful. I did get a payment protection loan, paycheck protection loan, which of course, again, it only helped a little bit, but it was something. Um, so anyway, there were some things that kind of got us. There was a little bit of that pucker factor of like,
Mhm.
gonna work, and then we like scraped by the skin of our teeth. Is like, okay, we're good for another month.
Right. Yep.
It worked.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious now, did you have some emergency fund kind of saved up? Or because I know when you start a business, a lot of times most of your funding is gone into the business, and it's very rare that anybody has a lot of cash held back, after starting up a business.
Well, I would say that I was in a really good place when I started the practice because the business because I had worked full time for so long. We had quite a bit of savings um, between my wife and myself together, and as well as just our regular accounts. And so um, I didn't have to take out big, huge business loans to start our business. Everything was paid for, so and the overhead was relatively low, especially being by myself at this practice right now. So. Um, so luckily there was no debt there, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That was actually, I shouldn't say luckily, we purposely did it that way, but that was a saving grace because in the times prior to COVID-19 and since then, this year, we've been able to. It's unfortunate we've had to do this, but once in a while we've had to draw from personal funds, such as savings, to just get us through a little bit for expenses.
Hmm.
And particularly for contractors that work for me, once in a while I had to, a few $100s here and there just to eke out, so have a buffer there.
Hmm.
Uh, and because I wasn't just not going to pay them for what they were doing,
Right.
and if I didn't pay them for what they were doing, then I would never get the revenue to pay myself again. So it was just like they always say pay yourself first, but that's kind of BS if you have contractors working for you because you can't do that.
You can't trash the relationship by not taking care of your people. And I think that's true if you have contractors or employees. You always want to take care of your people first because, like you said, they're the ones making your business run. And if they one disappear, two, your reputation goes downhill, and everyone's like, "Do not work for that guy, no paychecks." It's a
And
big deal.
frankly, if they didn't do what they're doing, I wouldn't be able to make the money I'm making.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't be able to pay myself if it weren't for them working. So yeah, I had to get to a point where I was solvent enough to pay myself again through their work that they're doing. So
Yeah.
and of course through the private practice side of things too. So
Sure. And I love the concept that you brought up of starting your practice with money in the bank, making sure that things were paid for, that you didn't start your private practice until you had enough saved up to basically get it going without
yeah,
having to take out loans, without having to go into debt. And then yeah, I really hope this works out, because I've got all this debt to pay. So that you became essentially, as soon as you gained a client, you were already
Yeah.
bringing in profit rather than, okay, now I got to go pay off this debt for 3 years or 5 years or however long.
Yeah. And, I'm not demonizing taking out business loans because small businesses need loans. But I do want to encourage anybody that is considering starting a small business of any kind that you don't necessarily have to go into debt to make it happen.
Right.
Because, for example, in the therapy world, especially in school, the traditional model of what we consider physical therapy is, renting out a 5,000 square foot space and having tons of gym equipment and private treatment rooms, and then you have a secretary, and then you have you're paying overhead for that space, you're paying utilities for that big space, and you don't need to. So like in the therapy world, you can do it solo. You don't have to have a huge practice with a bunch of therapists. You can do it by yourself. You can rent out space in a gym, for heaven's sake. You don't even have to have a unit, a rental unit.
Right.
You can figure out ways to do it where you're paying for maybe the square footage of a space that you're sharing with somebody else. Or if you happen to, let's say you love CrossFitters and you want to work with CrossFitters, you get a great relationship with the CrossFit box that you happen to work out in. And then maybe because of that relationship, they say, hey, we'd love to have you, work with some of our clients, and we've got space if you want to rent space from us, So, just things like that relationships are huge in that sense. So you don't necessarily always, but my point is you don't have to go big. It doesn't have to be this big grandiose thing. It could start humble and small and work your way up from there. I mean,
Right.
I know PTs that have done all 100% cash-based practices where they started out in like a 400 square foot space, then they overgrew it, and then they went to a 1,200 square foot space, and then they overgrew that. And so, you just have to start where you can. It doesn't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to start with the big, you know,
Right.
you know.
Right. Which is super important to remember when starting a business of any type. We get kind of caught in that trap of feeling like we have to have the super big space or the really fancy office, or, oh my gosh, all my furniture has to coordinate perfectly and I need this brand new whatever. And, when I have my grand opening, I have to have live music, whatever it is.
Right.
We kind of get caught up in I got to have this perfect setup because we've seen other businesses and they look like that. And we go, well, okay, how long has that business been there? How many clients do they already have? Oh, 25 years. They've got thousands of people. Okay, I see they're generating the revenue for this. And it's super, super smart to start small, start with what you can handle, and wait till you're truly bursting at the seams and can't possibly stay in that space any longer before you upgrade.
Right. Because I mean, I don't know how many of the listeners have priced. I mean, of course, it depends on where you are in the United States, but even here in Oklahoma, I mean, pricing commercial spaces these days, especially the newer ones,
Oh,
like
yeah.
gracious. I mean,
Oh,
I mean, even a small 1,200, 1,500, 2,000 square foot space, which of course 2,000 is pretty decent size, but even something small like 1,200, 1,100 square feet, I mean, you could be talking over between 1,500 a month to 2,000 a month, or
Mm-hmm.
and
They
that's
get you with that tricky pricing where it's, X number of dollars a square foot. So you always have to math, like it's really hard to know. It's not like renting an apartment where they're like $900 a month or $1,500 a month. They go, okay, so this space is $9.75 a square foot. And you're like, wait, what? So
that math. If you're a business owner looking for a space, you 110% need to do that math because they will rip. I won't say they rip you off. Sometimes they're just trying to pay the mortgage on that new building, and they're trying to have the rates higher. I think just to make up the revenue to balance that out, because
yeah.
building obviously it costs tons of money, so they're trying to make back what they're getting. They're trying to make more than they're putting into it.
Mm.
I think that's why new commercial spaces are so expensive. But older ones, like the one I'm in, it's been here for 20 years probably. The base rent is, probably probably literally less than $7 a square foot.
That's great.
And that's when they raised it $250. So when the new owners took over here before I started renting. So yeah, it's possible to do it on a budget, and you just have to do your research and be patient. So
yeah, you really do. It's that having that concept in your head of, I have to have this space on this corner or this neighborhood to make anything work. And it's like, that's not really what's going to be the magic sauce that makes it work. Traffic area, yeah, sure. Parking, those, they do factor in. But if people really love your business and you create good relationships, people will drive and find you. Like, I've been to some places that somebody's like, you got to go see this lady. And so you're going to drive down and then you make a left at the rock. And I'm like, the rock? Yeah, there's a big rock and you make a left at the big rock. But apparently you have to wait in line to talk to her on a Saturday. So like, it really just depends on how much value you're providing. You don't need that big thing. So yeah, fabulous.
In the niches. So, you know, if you have, like you said, you got somebody that's really in demand, and there you have a special thing that they do or whatever, then yeah, you might have a it in, even if it's a hole in the wall. So you never know.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. The best restaurants, right? You're like, is this place even safe? Oh my gosh, the food's amazing. Yep. Yep. I think there was a barbecue place I went to, and you know, you go in, it's like this old rickety screen door that, you know, half closes and slams behind you, and you're just like, oh, all right. But then you eat the food and it's fabulous. It's the best one. So, yep. You know, you mentioned that when all of this happened, you started trying to come up with some other ideas to monetize or serve your clients virtually and things like that. What was the response? Because it was really a unique thing that I hadn't thought about happening.
So yeah, that was, it's a little humorous too, talking about it now, but in the Facebook group I started, I had proposed, this was a proposed idea. It wasn't even something I've actually done yet, but I proposed the idea of having an online exercise class just for the members of the group. They would have to opt into it. Not that everybody in the group was just in this exercise class, but that if they wanted to opt into it, there'd be a monthly fee or an annual fee with the, you know, option for a monthly payment if that's what was better. And I would do two different versions of it, whether it be twice a week or 3 times a week. Doing exercises specifically for people with Parkinson's, wherever they are. They could be anywhere in the world, or they could be in the United States, wherever. And the response I got almost immediately from a couple of people was, one response I got was that they would only be interested if it was free. And that was the person, one of the people that was the most supportive of the exercise videos I'd done so far this year in the group. I did a live video every week, and I DM'd her and said, like, hey, just curious, like, why would you only be interested if it was free? And she threw up all these barriers of, well, I've got these medications I have to pay for, and I've got my medical bills to where I can only afford to pay $10 a month, and I'm on disability, and I've got a 2005 Toyota. And I'm like, what's your point? I mean, we all have debts, right?
Sure.
I don't even know what it costs yet. And then that was this one person, and the other person right out of the blue said, I would love this, Michael, but I don't think I could afford your fee. I said, I haven't told you what the fee is yet. And he was like, oh yeah, you're right, I haven't. You haven't.
So they just assumed that whatever it was going to be.
Like, how do you know how much it is? I don't. Yeah. So, and just so that the listeners know, this was a class that I was literally going to take the time to do 2 to 3 times a week. The 2 times a week version of it was going to cost, the annualized cost was less than $200 for the whole year. Monthly, it would come out to $15.99 a month. And before I could even open my mouth to tell them that, they said they couldn't afford it. It's like, really? You couldn't afford that? Okay. I mean, they don't.
$2 a month to get training that they presumably need.
That they're not getting right now.
Right.
And so, and this was from a person who's professionally trained to do it versus, you know, somebody who has a weekend certification and training, this is like, I've got a doctoral degree in physical therapy plus extra training in Parkinson's diseases. That's my specialty. And also in geriatrics. So anyway, it's like they don't really know what they're getting, I guess is what I'm just trying to say.
Yeah, but they threw up all the barriers before they could even find out what they'd get.
They were so afraid of knowing what it cost. I don't think they even wanted to know.
Wow.
Or maybe they were so afraid of having to pay something. I don't, it was like just the idea that they had to pay. It was like, oh, no.
I'm not paying for a quality service, please.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't do that.
Well, and personal trainers, I mean, they have great professions, so I'm not knocking them at all. They do some wonderful work. Some of the good ones especially are like they're treasures. Oh, yeah. But I mean, they charge way more than that. I mean, especially for in-person stuff. I mean, it's like $80 an hour minimum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, easily.
So I'm practically giving away what I was offering, and and they didn't even want to know what it cost. So
wow, just that
interesting psychology to me.
Yes, very, very interesting on that. Just I'm so afraid I can't even find out what it costs. Even if it was $2, I'm too terrified to listen or consider it or anything. Just really interesting.
To be fair, anxiety goes along with Parkinson's a lot, so there could be a little bit of a connection there, but
okay, yeah. So
other things. So
did you repeat that because it cut out just slightly?
Sorry, I was going to say there's also other fears I'm sure going on with. I'm sure there's fears going on top of if they do have anxiety. I'm sure that's heightened by the fact that they also have some financial strain. So potentially.
Yep. So with all this kind of feedback that you've had over the last 6 months or so in your business, what, if anything, have you changed to kind of, I don't know, prepare for if this happens again? Have you made things different? Have you added something on?
So, and part of this isn't official yet, but one of the newest ventures I'm getting involved in is affiliate marketing based, which if your listeners aren't familiar with affiliate marketing, I'm sure that some of them are, but basically for those of you who don't know, that's where you're basically marketing someone else's product and getting a cut of the sale of that product. That's the best way I could explain it. So the home health contracting business that I have within my business structure, I have invested in myself to take this course. It wasn't cheap. It was a $5,000 course, but I made the money back within a few months. So it was well worth it. So, but this is a fellow therapist that's a friend of mine who developed this online course that basically gave a PT, OT, or speech therapist, whoever, the tools to use to start a home health contracting business. Wow. And the scripting to use when marketing to home health agencies and all the tools you need to make this business work. And it wasn't just tools, it was mentoring as well, personalized mentoring and group mastermind call and everything. So there was a lot involved. So that course was a huge part of my business success in the last year, and it really turned the boat around for me. And so I'm a huge believer in his product and in his course, and it's worked for me, and I know it can work for anybody that puts into action the steps that he recommends. And so I am unofficially right now, but officially becoming an affiliate marketer for that course. So that is something I can do remotely from my office or from home, and it literally will take a 20 to 30 minute phone call to close a sale or not with a potential candidate for the course who is interested in the course. And I will get affiliate commission on that sale. And it's pretty cool. I mean, he's got tiers of if you do 4 sales a month, it's this much per sale. Sure. If you do 10 a month, it's this much per sale. And so there's different tiers basically that I can work up towards. And that's if they and it's ironic, the people that buy the course actually will pay. I get paid more if they do it in payments instead of paying all up front.
Right.
So
Yep.
I'm literally going to be incentivizing people like, hey, you can do this monthly.
You're going to be incentivized to encourage that. Yeah.
Payment model.
So essentially adding virtual streams, other streams of revenue, picking up something on the side.
The point is, picking up something on the side that so many businesses, whether it's healthcare or retail, or it depends on people in front of you. It depends on that. I'm trading time with this person for money in return. Mm-hmm. And it depends on your physical presence. But there are so many things and opportunities that you can do in business where you can take the time, you can invest a little bit of time, potentially for bigger returns, hopefully, if you play it right, potentially bigger returns, and you're not trading as much time for potentially more money. So that's freeing up your time. It's also creating financial stability with a side revenue stream, or 2 or 3, however many. One of the other things I've been very interested in, which is one of the reasons I started the group on Facebook that I did, is I'm developing membership program. Have not solidified that yet whatsoever, but that my idea is to create a membership, a paid membership for mentoring, teaching people about Parkinson's disease, about their own disease process, and caregivers as well, about basically, how to become a Parkinson's warrior, how to take that by the reins and go with it, versus depending on this person and that person and this person and that person to help them out to get information. I'm trying to conglomerate information into one place for people as much as possible. So anyway, membership programs can be a huge boon to a business, whether it's, even in your business, Camille, with financial, I'm not sure if I'm describing it right, financial advising /
financial services is great.
Financial planning. Financial services. Any business almost can have a membership program, mm-hmm. where you've got this recurring revenue that's coming in. And you can do it annualized, you can do it monthly, you can do launches where you basically have, this is a founding members launch at something ridiculous, $15.99 a month, like I was talking about. And then 3 months, and then we close it. It's closed off. We don't have any more members for the next 3 months. And then 3 months later, hey, we're opening up membership again. It's $25 a month now, or whatever, however much more, just a couple dollars, whatever it is. But you can build that up over time. So that's just another example. Not something I'm necessarily doing now or doing it well, but that's just something I've heard about and am learning more about this year.
Yeah.
Something else I'm looking at. I actually do have a membership program already that is working for the practice. That is, so it does involve direct client care, but it's a little bit more on my terms and the client's terms versus insurance. So
I like that.
So for Medicare patients that are finished with their traditional therapy plan of care, I always offer the opportunity to continue a cash-based, basically wellness program, or it's essentially it's personal training versus PT.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big PT, it's little PT. If that's the way you could put it. But I do have right now I have 3 monthly members that are doing 4 visits a month with me, and I've built other tiers now where I'm marketing 8 and 12 visit a month memberships. Mm-hmm. So I'm calling it memberships, not wellness or whatever. I'm just calling it a membership in the practice.
Sure. Yeah, I see a lot of businesses going to that, and it does definitely even out those highs and lows. Almost every business has some sort of a busy season and some sort of a slower season. And when you have people on memberships, it keeps it a little bit more evened out and a little more calm, and definitely less stressful, for sure.
It's hugely important for seasonal businesses, especially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, even in the therapy world, there's always a need for that, but there are some ebbs and flows for whatever reason.
Just
Um,
is.
it just is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, and just as an example, I mean, being transparent, like that, this is on my old pricing model because they're grandfathered in, but there's people that are right now paying for 4 visits a month. They're discounted 20% because they were already patients of mine. So I do that as a favor to them as well. But those 3 patients that are on that, those 3 clients that are on that membership program, almost passively generates $540 a month. It involves work on my part because I still see them once a week, but it's I don't have to work to get that money anymore.
You don't have to go generate a new client. So the hard part of the business, you don't have to do again because you already have the client. You just have to do the fun part, which is what you actually trained to do.
Exactly.
I love that.
People want to get therapy again, or they need it, not just one, but like if there's a medical reason they need Medicare to pay for therapy again, which is really the only ethical reason you would do that, to bill Medicare for it, is that they have a decline or something new comes up, and then they can stop the membership for a while, go back to insurance-based care, and then go right back onto a membership. So I'm also not having to work for new clients because they're already in the house. And so it's that much easier to go like, oh, well, let's just have Medicare cover this for a while. And then we'll transition into something again, or membership based. So
I love it. I love that you're flexible with them so they get what they really need and what serves them best. I think that always makes for an excellent business strategy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Michael, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been lovely.
I've really enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me on. And I think it's fun to talk about these things with other people, especially other business owners.
Yes, for sure. For sure. I love talking to other business owners and getting everybody's insight from what's going on out there in the world. So yeah, thank you.
Businesses are more similar than they are different. It's just the types of clients we serve.
Yes.
And what thing we sell,
Right. What problem you happen to solve. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. If you would like to get in touch with Michael, he owns Hyland Physical Therapy and Wellness. You can reach him on social media. His handle on Instagram is Hyland, and that's HYLAND PTW. On Facebook, it's Hyland PT. And then his website is Hyland, HYLAND PT.com. Phone number is 918-251-7199. Thank you as well to all of our listeners and viewers. I'm your host, Camille Diaz. This show is sponsored by Serenity Financial, a 5 Rings financial agency specializing in financial education, living benefits, and guaranteed lifetime income. Michael, would you like to share today's money mantra that you have provided us and kind of tell us where it came from?
Absolutely. So this quote I'm going to say is from Henry Ford. And I love this quote because it applies to business and it applies to really almost any endeavor in life. Whether you think that you can or you cannot, you're absolutely right.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.